We're going to talk about waivers, but because we're all involved in everything, we wanted to talk a little bit about something that we worked on legislatively this year. So we knew that there was a problem with the criminal justice system, our local police, and people with disabilities. Primarily not recognizing things like autism or some of the quirky behaviors our loved ones have. The Director of Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, BDR, has a young adult son with autism. He got pulled over in Columbus for a traffic infraction and did what you're not supposed to do when the police come to your car. He immediately reached for the glove compartment, got real nervous, and got arrested. Not because of the traffic incident, but because he did things that people with autism do. So Kevin, the director of OOD, helped introduce a piece of legislation late last year, which the ARC supported, which the Autism Society supported, and we worked toward passage, that says, this is now state law, that says that you can voluntarily register your vehicle or vehicles, if you have more than one, with OOD, the Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities, who will communicate with the Department of Transportation. And you have to, if you regularly transport someone with a communication challenge, like autism, sometimes Down syndrome, or sometimes just if a cop comes up to your door, the kid in your back seat's gonna freak out, or possibly you're driving and you have a disability and you may freak out. This says that if your vehicle, your license plate is registered, he's gonna pull you over, he's gonna run your plates, and your plates are gonna say, this vehicle routinely transports people that have communication challenges, and the police officer is gonna know before he comes to your window, there's a chance that someone in that vehicle may freak out. And he's not gonna pull a gun on them just because they freaked out. We're working on the back end to also educate the police community. It's all voluntary. You have to get documentation from your doctor. It's not just saying, I've got a kid with autism or a kid with Down syndrome or a person with cerebral palsy who may make jerky movements. You have to have a physician say that, send this in. It's as many vehicles as you drive. It's made for families and people with disabilities. So it's one of those really success stories, and why didn't we think of this before? The governor signed it into law, and it's been effective now for a couple months.
So when that vehicle's registered, before that officer comes up to the car, he actually looks at what's called the lead screen in his car, and he sees that that individual's voluntarily registered that vehicle. So he knows before he approaches that vehicle that there's possibly somebody in that car that has a communication disability. So it kind of puts them at ease a little bit before they come up to the car.
If you have two people in your family who have communication, can you just do one and have all the...
If they're riding in the same vehicle, yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's in the vehicle. So the doctor just has to document that at least one of them. She's asking, can you register at your local police station as well? You can, there's no law saying you have to, or no law saying the police have to.
But they're not going to because there's no law.
No, there's no law, but if you're living in a smaller community, you may want to say, if you see a kid climbing the telephone pole, it might be my kid. Those kind of things. But there is no law that I'm aware of. In fact, there were other advocates that protested this law, saying that it develops a registry of people with disabilities. Our point of view on that is, if you're on Medicaid or SSI, your name's already in the system. And this is voluntary. No one is saying you have to register your vehicle. It just makes sense if you're transporting. We had a staff person between Akron and Canton that was transporting an individual that had behavioral issues. He pulled off on 77 just to try to stop the situation. He happened to be a different race than the individual he was trying to help. Police saw a black man trying to restrain a white young guy who obviously needed to be kept from running into the interstate, and the poor staff person was arrested. Those things happen, you know. If that guy had had his, and he couldn't have at the time, but if he had his registration on that license, the police would have understood what was going on. Okay. Yes, sir.
What is this law called?
Yeah, so it's House Bill 115, but I don't think it officially has a name other than that bill. But if you just take that form in and send it in, you'll be all right. Yes, ma'am.
We had several questions about this at the session we had about law enforcement and people
Okay.
with intellectual disabilities. One was a lot of our families in Cleveland ride on RTA. RTA has police, but you don't have a license plate number. But they use the lead system to pull information up, so I don't know if there would be another way to register or not, but oftentimes, you know, our families that don't have cars might be riding in grandma's car, auntie's car. They never know.
You
a
can
car,
register grandma's car,
You know.
but it wasn't designed for, so like providers have asked, well, can I register all the vehicles? They could, but it's based on families and individuals. We're gonna have to go back and amend the law. So Our Lady of Wayside would wanna know, can I register all my vehicles? This bill was developed for people in family settings, but we've asked, can we go back and amend it for instances like that? I don't know that they could register every bus, you know,
No.
no.